Hello! The Laowa 7.5mm f2 is one of my favorite lenses. I've used it for almost 4 years now, for travel videos, climbing videos, and stock video footage. I've also used it for astrophotography, I shot time lapses and much more. This review will be less technical, but instead I will show you some examples of videos and still images I took with the Laowa and show you what you can achieve with this great little lens. And I will also give you some practical tips for using this lens. But first let's change my usual talking head lens, the Panaleica 50mm f1.7, to the Laowa 7.5mm f2 for this review. The Laowa 7.5mm is available in 3 versions: normal, lightweight or drone version and cine. I own the normal version with the blue ring. It is already quite small and lightweight at 170 grams. The lightweight drone version with the red ring is 20 grams lighter at 150 grams. Both lenses have the same size. The cine version is a bit bigger, but still quite small and lightweight at 170 grams. Laowa has also announced a 4th version of this lens. This lens will come with an electronic aperture and electronic contacts, but doesn't have a manual aperturing and is still manual focusing only. The normal and lightweight versions have the same functionality with a clicked aperturing with full stops in the normal direction and the focus ring in the more unusual Nikon direction. The cine version, on the other hand, has a clickless aperturing, but it turns in the unusual Nikon direction, and the focus ring on the cine version turns in the normal direction. Both rings of the cine version have 0.8 mod gears, so you can use your follow focus on this lens. Also, the cine version has a slightly larger filter thread of 49mm opposed to the other 2 versions with 46mm. A larger filter thread is always good for ultra wide angle lenses, but more on this later on. Since I got the normal version, let's take a closer look at this one. The build quality is very good. It's all made out of metal and glass, even the lens hood is metal. There are no electronic contacts and unfortunately there's no weather sealing. After 4 years of use there's probably a bit of dust inside the lens, but you really have to search for it, and I didn't notice any impact on image quality so far. Things that bother me about the lens are the lens hood and the lens cap. The lens hood does not click or snap into place and loosens quite easily. I've almost lost it several times, but most of the time I don't use it anyways. The lens cap is quite annoying since the pinch grips are too small and I replaced it with a normal one. Most of the time I don't use it anyways because I use a step-up ring from 46 to 67mm to use filters on this ultra-wide angle lens. The aperture ring clicks nicely but has only full stops. If you need to do more subtle adjustments, for instance for video, you would want the cine version which has a clickless aperture ring. The focusing ring is very smooth but a bit on the stiff side. The lens focuses really close at 12 cm from the sensor, or about 4 cm from the front of the lens. Infinity is about at the middle of the infinity sign for my copy, but I read that this could be different for other samples of this lens. So I would recommend to test the infinity focus for your copy of your lens when you get it. For landscape or architecture, it's easy to use anyways. You can set it to infinity when stopped down to f5.6 to about f11 and everything will be sharp and in focus. The Laowa 7.5mm is sharp in the center, already wide open at f2, but a bit soft at the corners or at the edge of the frame. Center sharpness improves a bit by stopping down and reaches maximum at f4. Edge sharpness increases greatly until about f5.6. After that, diffraction sets in and sharpness decreases. For more detailed and more scientific test results, I recommend the review at lenstip.com. Normally I use the lens at f5.6, only when I need more light, for instance when shooting indoors or at blue hour or doing astrophotography, I use the lens at wider apertures. The lens is not marked as 0D, which means, although quite well corrected, it still has some distortion left. Usually I don't bother correcting this distortion. Only when there are straight lines in the image, for instance for architecture, I do some minor corrections in Lightroom or in DaVinci Resolve for video. In Lightroom I set the distortion correction slider to about +10 and the barrel distortion is almost gone. In DaVinci Resolve I set the lens correction slider to about 0.1. This produces a bit different results than in Lightroom, but since the barrel distortion is quite small uncorrected, you would only notice the difference in direct comparison. As you can see in these sample shots, vignetting is quite noticeable wide open and also stop down. It can't be removed completely. This is caused by the wide field of view and the very small build of this lens. But vignetting can be easily corrected in post. In Lightroom I set the correction slider to about +40 at f5.6 and a bit higher when I shot at wider apertures. In DaVinci Resolve you can add a node with a circular power window, increase the feathering, invert the power window and then increase the brightness to your liking. Chromatic aberrations on this lens are very well corrected and pretty much non-existent. Chroma is something you have to be concerned about if you want to use this lens for astrophotography. And here the Laowa does not so well. The stars at the edge of the frame don't look perfectly rounded. The Samyang 12mm f2 lens, for instance, does this way better. I personally don't care about sunstars, but for some photographers they are important. So I took some sample pictures from f5.6 to f22 to show you the shape of the sunstars. The Laowa has 7 aperture blades, so it produces 14-point sunstars. The stars get bigger the more you stop down the lens. But I would not recommend to go below f11 because after this the diffraction causes a very soft image. A general tip for ultra-wide-angle lenses is that you need a subject closer to the camera. If you shoot in wide-open landscape, everything will be quite small in the frame. So you need a subject that is a bit closer and is bigger in the screen to make the image more interesting. Focusing with ultra-wide-angle lenses is quite easy, since most of the time you can focus at infinity or hyperfocal distance and you are good to go. But if you need more precise focus, focus peaking can be a bit misleading, since it shows large portions of the image as in focus, even if they are not. Here it's better to use the focus magnification or a bigger external monitor for setting or pulling focus correctly. For cameras that have in-body image stabilization, you have to set the focal length for the stabilizer manually, since there are no electronic contacts that allow communication between the lens and the camera. The Lumix cameras allow you to define preset focal length for the stabilizer, so you don't have to dial it in every time you turn on the camera. You just have to select the preset focal length. For filters, I would recommend to use fixed ND filters for ultra-wide-angle lenses, since variable ND filters can cause the X pattern when stopped down. This is not a fault of the filter, but the angle that the light goes through the lens. I would also recommend using larger filters than the native 46mm ones. As I have mentioned before, I use a single step-up ring from 46 to 67mm. I already did a video about this topic some time ago. So this was my review of the Laowa 7.5mm f2. It is a great little lens. It is not without flaws, but it is always with me because it is so lightweight and small. If you got any questions or comments, please leave them down below. If you liked this video, then please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel to see more of my videos. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!